All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Scott, and thank you so much, Laurel. I really appreciate being invited by Mobile Cause to participate today and tell the listeners a little bit more about our experience. I've been at DV LEAP, which is the Domestic Violence Legal Empowerment and Appeals Project, for 2.5 years. And for 2 of those years, we've used Mobile Cause. And I have to say that it is one of the best, truly one of the best decisions that I made as an executive director, and one of the best investments that we made in terms of adding tools to our toolbox was to have this platform. And I'm going to tell you, happy to tell you a little bit more about it. So there's our lovely team in front of the U.S. Supreme Court building. As Scott mentioned, we are based in Washington, D.C. We just had a case before the U.S. Supreme Court in December. We provide pro bono legal appeals to domestic violence survivors in D.C. and across the U.S. We partner with law firms to provide that free service, and we are the only nonprofit in the U.S. that provides this service, and we've been doing it for 16 years now. So, and in fact, let me just make a point about that photo. That is our staff. So we're a smaller nonprofit, but that photo also includes one of our donors who attended our event, who texted to donate, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, $1,000 that night, and has now funded an entire position for a new attorney on our staff. And so just speaks to the power of these tools and the ways that they can be used. So that just tells you a little bit more about DV LEAP and about us. So we hold, on the 2.5 years I've been on staff, we have an annual gala. And when I came on board, then we decided to change up the event and what we were doing. And we were holding it at the Newseum, which is in DC. Some of you may have actually visited the Newseum before. It is now closed, but we had the opportunity to have 2 events there. Our Goodwill Ambassador is actress Abigail Spencer, who's featured here. If she looks familiar to you, she was in Suits. She was on Timeless on NBC. She's in a new Hulu series now called Reprisal, if she looks familiar to you. So Abigail was our featured guest as our ambassador. And part of what we do that night is recognize our clients that we've served. We use it as an opportunity to recognize the law firms that provide the pro bono legal appeals and honor our volunteers and the staff. So basically everybody who makes our work possible attends that night, and we probably have, attendance would be around 175 people. So one of the challenges that we had prior to us getting the software Mobile Cause is that we had not had a way, the organization hadn't had a way previously to integrate the ticket sales, the sponsorships, everything they were doing in the website. So what they did was they had, at the website, there was a separate link for a separate website that was all about the event, and it was incredibly cumbersome. So we needed to find a way to streamline that. We needed a way, we wanted something that was going to be slick, that was going to be at our website, that was easy for people to navigate. And I just want to say, I was a tough sell as a customer. So Mobile Cause had to work pretty hard to convince me that we needed to do this. And as I said at the beginning of my remarks, one of the best decisions that I made was to invest in this tool. It is more than paid for itself. I can't even tell you how many times over. I would have to do the math, but it has absolutely positively been worth it for us to do it. So I can't say enough good things about the experience that we've had with the platform, and I am not a tech savvy person. So that speaks volumes as well about how user friendly it is. So we use this web page or this platform and built out our website in a really helpful way. And so I want to give you a little bit of a look at that. So when you went to our homepage, we actually had a box, that a little icon that you could click on that had the name of our event, which was Tip the Scale. So you could click on that, and that would take you into our website, then to the landing page. And, you know, for example, there was information such as you'll see on this screen, it was the levels of sponsorship. So it's usually the law firms that sponsor us, and you can see there that that information was displayed on the landing page for our event. And then if you go to, if you take a look at this one, you'll see this is what people saw if they were going to actually purchase tickets. So we featured the museum, the building itself, because it's so attractive and people here know about the museum. And so we wanted to highlight that on our landing page, and so you see it here. And then there's an example of what the form looked like if you were going to purchase tickets. And again, we found that all of it was to create it and also in terms of using it to be quite user friendly. And if we had any issues at all, we would just call Mobile Cause and the staff would help us troubleshoot that. So we had a lot of assistance and felt confident in what we were doing. When we did it, of course, it was easier the second year that we did it, and we then worked. We already had the template. We sort of had the drill, knew the drill, so it was easier for us to just adjust everything the second time around. And just so you know, the first year we used it, I created the landing page and did the work with. I had a high school student who was an intern, and he was just. It wasn't like he was some super tech savvy high school kid. He was just your average high school kid who has some knowledge of technology, and between two of us we created it, and we found all of it to be, again, quite user friendly. So we needed a place where people could go easily to do everything, to learn about the event, to learn more about DV Leap. It was a chance for us to show off on the landing page. There was a scrolling screen across the top that featured Abigail Spencer and all of our donors, and listed all the people on the gala committee and highlighted the co-chairs. And it's a great one-stop shop for us to be able to share a lot of information. And we loved it for that. It just streamlined everything. They could order their tickets, just make a straight up donation. There was a thermometer there to show how we were doing towards our goal. And, as an executive director, I just have to say, we did meet our goal. Even though it says 134,000 out of 150, we had donors that came through who couldn't attend the event that night, who came through afterwards, and so we actually were able to meet our goal both years, and so we were just thrilled about that. People love the thermometer and being able to see and we do too. So as staff, we sort of became addicted to it because we want to see who's donated and where we are with things, and that actually prompted us to do follow-up then, which was great to make sure that people have gotten their tickets or done their sponsorship. So it was helpful for staff as well as for anybody else who was thinking about attending the event. Let's move on here to the next slide, and I'll tell you a little bit more. We used then social media like crazy to get the word out. And what's so fabulous is that there's just a link, right? So we could just put that out on Instagram, on our Facebook page, on Twitter. It was everywhere, and it was so convenient. Then you hear from individuals, like individual donors, somebody who says, hey, I'm interested, what do I need to do? You just boom, send them the link, and then takes them right to where they need to be to make the sponsorship, to buy the tickets, to make a donation, whatever it is. The landing page was another way for us to recognize people like our awardees that we were going to be recognizing that night as well as the sponsors. So again, the landing page had many purposes that we could use it for, which was just fantastic. And then the other feature about this that we, again, absolutely love, is the text to donate option. So it's a part of the package, and we used it 2 years in a row that night. I can't remember how much we raised in the room that night. The first year, it's all a bit of a blur, but the second year, this past October, we raised over $32,000 in like 10 minutes. And I've been to a bigger event. We actually learned from these folks. There's another organization in DC, and they have a massive annual gala. It's like 700 people, and I've been to theirs both years because they use Mobile Cause and the text to donate. It was phenomenal to see how much they raised with that many people in the room. We have about 175 people in the room. They're raising a couple $100,000 in like 15 minutes. And we knew those folks already, and that was super helpful to us that we were able to talk to them about how they used Mobile Cause, and they were fabulous about helping us sort of think through the steps, as well as the Mobile Cause staff. But it was just great. We actually went over to the office of this other nonprofit and talked to their development person and said, hey, can you walk us through? Could you answer some questions? What did you find worked well? What were some maybe challenges that we need to consider? And that was between them and the Mobile Cause staff. That was all we needed to help us really create something that was going to be terrific. So we had ambassadors in the room that night that had little name badges that said, ask me for help. We had the info about how to text to donate, like in the program. So we were really set. And then we had a key to this is to have two people up on the stage who are really sort of dynamic, who can spur the crowd on and challenge them. And they were a lot of fun, and they made it fun. And we had plants in the room, people we talked to in advance who'd been there the year before, who we knew were going to make significant size donations, like maybe $2,000 or $5,000. And so they were the first ones to text to donate, and that sort of primes the pump. So, it's fun. It's just such a fun moment. And there were tech people at the museum that you're going to have anyway to help you with everything that you're doing that night. And we had done a run through with them. They were great. So again, team effort and just a blast, and such a great way to raise money in the moment. So can't say enough good things about Text to Donate. We're using it at happy hours now and other smaller events. So it's just really been terrific for us. So let's go on here to the next slide. So there are two slides here with some numbers to sort of show you how well we've done for the first year compared to the second year, but just take a look at that very first percentage. The first year we used Mobile Cause for our event, we increased the total revenue from the previous year's event by 89%. And that previous year had been an all-time high for the organization. So it's incredible, the increase that we experienced, because of, it wasn't just, to be fair, it wasn't just about the tool and the platform of Mobile Cause. We'll never be able to know how much it contributed. We changed our venue, but all of those things combined, we knew what we were doing. We were creating this whole experience, and we needed the Mobile Cause platform to be a part of that overall experience that we were including in this new venue that was the museum, et cetera. So no, it was a total success for us. And let's compare it to what happened the next year. And we had great attendance both years in terms of people who actually showed up, people we could invite, and then people who actually showed up. We had great percentages. And I think that's because of this tool, frankly, because it's so engaging when they buy their tickets to go online and do this. I think it feels like a real commitment to people. Before, we just had paper tickets and we were sending them, and oh my gosh, way too involved. And to use technology, it just makes you look like you know what you're doing, and you're cutting edge by having a tool like this in your toolbox. So perception-wise, I think it did a lot for the organization as well. So year two, if you take a look, our sponsorships were up. And we didn't know what would happen in the second year, which was actually this last October when we had the event, because the year before was our 15th anniversary. So people are going to show up, people are going to make bigger donations. But what happens the year after a 15th anniversary? Is anybody going to show up? Is anybody going to donate? What's going to happen? And in fact, we had it all went really well for us again. And so that was fabulous news for us. And you can see that while ticket sales were down, there's an explanation for that. It's a small amount, but that's because the sponsorships were up. Because with our sponsorships, you get free tickets. So that explains why the ticket sales were down just slightly. And our Text to Donate was basically about the same. And that's without one of our major donors showing up that night, who normally gives like $15,000. He couldn't be there that night. So the fact that we held steady on the Text to Donate amount without him says a lot, right? And we had a lot of people who were coming back that had been there the year before. And so they knew the drill also. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to do the Text to Donate thing. And so people knew how to do it. And I really pushed having younger people this past year as well, and catered to that demographic. And I think that also really made a difference for us. And you can see that our RSVPs were really high once again, which was fabulous. And I think a lot of it's because the experience that we were creating that included using this platform. So with that, I will just say that I look forward to your questions. We've had a fabulous experience by using Mobile Cause. Really excited to figure out how else we can maximize that tool. It is more than paid for itself, and we have just had a terrific experience working with the staff. And I can very sincerely say all of these things. We've been in the thick of it, and with using this. And again, I'm not a tech savvy person, and so the fact that we could do it and do it with such great success and with such a small team, I think just speaks volumes about the utility and the value of this particular tool. And I would recommend it to anybody to add it to your own toolbox.